The man was about to return to his hometown, so he was eating bird's nest at a small restaurant. Afraid that he would not have enough to eat, the hostess gave him an extra part of the accompanying food for free. To express his gratitude, the man specially invited Mrs. Dae-chan to drink. Before leaving, Dae-chan specifically instructed the man. After returning, "You must forget everything here." However, the man carrying the bag was not far away when he encountered an ambush. Lee Myung-hun surrendered. "If we surrender, we will let you have a way to live." The man was a North Korean commando who was sent to South Korea. Because his identity was discovered, there were countless red spots aimed at him at this time, due to the special status of the man. His pair of children who stayed in North Korea had a very difficult life. They have been detained in re-education for a long time. "Are you Lee Young-go's son? How old are you?" At the age of 18, his father died in South Korea. Moreover, he was considered a traitor. Myung-hun's future is seriously affected. The superiors showed Myung-hun a way. "That's the only way for you and your sister to survive and leave here. Let's become spies." This means that he will be like his father, who has to go to South Korea. 2 years later, there were a series of shootings in Seoul. All of the victims were North Korean commandos sent to South Korea. After receiving the mission, they will operate within a certain enemy range. Now, one by one, they died strangely, even dying at the hands of the same person. Therefore, the South Korean intelligence agency is suspicious. Perhaps due to internal power struggles within North Korea's intelligence bureau. The commandos of the 8th Division and the 35th Division were attacking each other. Based on the camera, surveillance at the scene can see the perpetrator using his left hand. It is possible to continuously murder 3 people with neat and decisive methods. It must be the elite in the commando world. This is undoubtedly due to the health of the chairman of the National Defense Committee, Kim. In the crocodile print, it leads to conflicts between forces. In other words, the proxy war on the anti-Korean front broke out early. In addition, there are several North Koreans who defected from Incheon Airport to enter South Korea. A total of 8 adults and 2 children. Myung-hun is one of them. They will be investigated in detail. After that, they agreed to accept adaptive education to quickly integrate into Korean life. Myung-hun with the fake name Kang Dae-ho easily passed the investigation. He lied that his family had passed away and created for himself an image of a quiet person. Dae-ho is quiet but a very honest child. A couple adopted Myung-hun. There was a moment when he had a hallucination that if this time he didn't have to come here on a mission, he should have been able to live very well, at least have a normal life. However, his adoptive parents are just like him. Also a North Korean commando who has lived here for nearly 20 years, Myung-hun has always kept silent. He came here just to carry out his mission, not wanting to talk much about other things. The new house looks very good, so Myung-hun is also gradually adapting to life here, his background. The 8th Division Special Training Center, so there should be no problem in terms of skills. The adoptive father is especially clear here. Everything must be kept secret. Don't be curious about anything. Don't let anyone pay attention. Everything puts safety first. His status here is that students still have to follow the rules of the school. You see this as a transfer student. Please briefly introduce yourself. My name is Kang Dae-ho. Please give me more guidance. Every school has a few barehead guys who love to bully gentle or newly transferred students. Hyun, Myung-gun's friend, is the object of bullying, but she always endures it silently. Myung-hun has full bravery, but can only be patient. If it weren't for completing the mission, it wouldn't have taken more than a minute to deal with these bareheads. Seeing that Myung-hun didn't dare to resist, the bears even dared to steal his wallet. As a commando from North Korea who wants to lie in the area, he has to endure school violence. But he hopes these guys can leave photos for him just for his wallet. Myung-hun didn't say anything and quietly followed the teacher downstairs. Unintentionally, Hyun always sneaks a peek at the dance studio with admiring eyes. Seeing Myung-hun injured, Hyun is not surprised. Both are bullied people who are considered to be in the same situation. Late at night in a warehouse there was another shooting. who was arrested while playing games on the phone during class without handing in the phone. Is it you? Is it you? The teacher asked all students who violated the discipline to stay to clean up. These bare heads are used to bullying others due to all the tasks for my Eunghun and Hyein. I don't know what my Eunghun thinks in her heart, but Hyein actually likes her private time with my Eunghun. The sunlight shining on her face creates a vague feeling of warmth. When I get home in the evening, my Eunghun receives a package, which is a phone and a bag of documents. The victims in the first bag of documents were all corps members of our 8th Division. It must have been done by the commandos of Room 35. The man who was previously noticed by the Korean Intelligence Bureau was a commando of Office 35, nicknamed the Beginning of the Star. His superiors instructed my Eunghun to first contact the rest of the 8th Division's comrades to make sure no one was killed. Then look for an opportunity to eliminate the start of the refinement as completing the task. In the ice cream cake, there were guns and ammunition prepared, and my Eunghun pretended to be a delivery man to call the door, and without saying 2 words, he rushed in and beat him. Only through physical and mental pain can he succumb. The fat guy who was pointed at the head by a gun played a clever game with my Eunghun. The mouth said that there was a butcher who had met the beginning of the essence. But the hand is not honest, and even tries to counterattack. The new unaccustomed my Eunghun never gives in. The assassin is always unintentional. Only when he returned to school did he temporarily feel that he was still a person. However, ordinary people in school were not easy to live. A group of male and female bullies surrounded Hyein to tease her, and for some reason my Eunghun, who was a little heartbroken, quietly walked over to help clean up. The moment of silence at this time was more than 10,000 words of affection formed in an instant. In the regret of biology, the teacher especially asked my Eunghun, if the student changes schools, I saw the 18th lesson. Hyein only showed the answer to my Eunghun, but my Eunghun's expertise was far beyond that of an ordinary high school student. From non-dissociative chromosomes to normal chromosome division, coupled with the knowledge of somatic cell movement and DNA, this time my Eunghun answered, which made the teacher very satisfied. Hyein also couldn't help but smile sweetly. In the eyes of her classmates, my Eunghun was a lonely person who had never communicated with anyone. Only when there is no one around my Eunghun will he play the piano in the music room, using the sound of the piano to remember her sister in the distance. In fact, my Eunghun is still supportive. After all, he has the muscles to protect himself. Hyein is more pathetic. She loves to be filial. It was very difficult to find time to practice, but she was always bullied by girls. She couldn't even leave. Being made difficult by this group of people is not 1 or 2 times. My Eunghun didn't want to cause trouble, so she didn't come forward to help. In the evening, when I go to my parents' house, I raise the forest as if I am doing a few small businesses to earn more. As long as it is not related to the mission, my Eunghun has never been too polite. According to the address that the fat man at the boxing gym said earlier, my Eunghun went to the butcher to get the license plate of Badaxing. I only know that, please spare me, spare my life. Not every butcher can make a mausoleum. Not all mausoleums have handwriting next to them. My Eunghun solved the neat butcher within 1 minute. The next day, he went to the parking lot to find the car of the star. After locking onto the target, he follows and goes to the intersection where the car stops, and my Eunghun also stops. The star frantically ran away, and my Eunghun hit the car accurately. The car immediately lost control and crashed into the fence. Curious passers-by surrounded and watched. A large crowd was not a good time to take action. My Eunghun had to look for another chance, but his image was captured by surveillance cameras. South Korea's intelligence agency is about to begin investigating his true identity. The first time the mission failed, my Eunghun sat alone in the perspective of a family photo. Outside, the sound of the bearheads echoed, and the bearheads dragged Hyein into the storage room to steal the girl's money. This is the amount of money Hyein has worked hard to earn while working part-time. However, the little girl refused to give it, while her clothes were torn by the car bears. Hearing the profanity from my mouth hit me, Eunghun finally couldn't help but take action. My Eunghun only used 1/10 of his strength to teach those guys. He dressed Hyein and quickly returned to class. Perhaps the battle has distracted Ma Young-hun. During the test, he suddenly forgot his student status. When the teacher reminded him, he fell. The teacher is very embarrassed, but Ma Young-hun has become a celebrity who dares to hit the teacher. The bears' heads were all cast. His mouth said that he would find a chance to kill Ma Young-hun, but no one dared to act. He saw Ma Young-hun hit like a mouse saw a cat. From the mouths of these bears, Ma Young-hun asked where Hyun worked part-time. He immediately asks the teacher for permission to take a break, but Hyun is not at the cafe. Colleagues also don't know where she went. It wasn't until Ma Young-hun saw Hyun at the school gate. She dropped out of school and said she had found what she loved. From now on, I will not go to school anymore. Ma Young-hun also didn't say anything. Everyone has their own little secrets. However, Hyun still wants to ask Ma Young-hun to help her with a small thing. Hyun asks Ma Young-hun to pretend to be her guardian to sign the consent form. In this way, Hyun can make extra money at this dance studio. Seeing that Hyun is still immature, Ma Young-hun wrote 2 words for brother in a relationship. I did it, and it rained, and the 2 of them shared an umbrella, and the air suddenly became vague and warm. After chatting, she knew that Ma Young-hun had a sister. Moreover, her sister's name is exactly the same. Hyun suddenly understands why Ma Young-hun is willing to help her. The 2 of them went outside for a long time until evening and still did not come home. On the riverbank, I don't know who drew a map of the world on the wall. Hyun asks Ma Young-hun if she wants to go to any country. Hyun's parents have both passed away. She wanted to go to a place no one knew. Last time, he accidentally threw chewing gum on the wall to check the document, only to find out that it was a virtue. I heard that Germany has the most famous spying team in the world. Hyun hopes that if she has the chance, she can go there and learn to dance. Moreover, she also advised Ma Young-hun to try to see where to throw the gum. Ma Young-hun finished chewing the compressed gum and concentrated on throwing it out. But it hit the Pacific position. The 2 of them didn't expect that this position was exactly Ma Young-hun's fate. Knowing the whereabouts of Ma Young-hun and his adoptive parents, he began to lead people to murder them in the night. My adoptive mother knew she couldn't stand up to so many people. Take the initiative to go into the water and beg them to spare their lives. As long as she was alive, she was willing to listen to all the arrangements and even took the initiative to say the closing password. The password is a sun holiday. The adoptive father did not know the danger of being shot dead on the spot. The goods and money in the closing are worth more than 300 billion VND, now completely changed hands. The biggest feature of the commandos is that they have to learn how to uproot the grass. That night, Ma Young-hun just walked into the house and felt unwell. Using this way to deal with me was too young-handed. Starting with careful preparation, he has promoted his strength no less than Ma Young-hun. Fortunately, Ma Young-hun has a physical advantage. Relying on his youth and strength to draw with the start of the essence, he found a loophole using the electric cord to fold the neck to start the essence. But because of his lack of practical combat experience, he couldn't end his life, and in the end, it was still the right to beat his master to death. Ma Young-hun resists a wave of attacks, and then counterattacks and kills begin to spurn. His adoptive parents were also commandos who couldn't be saved, and Ma Young-hun didn't have any regrets in this place. Naturally, this was just a task without any personal feelings worth mentioning. After doing everything, he rode a small motorbike and quickly left. Even if there was an explosion in the back of the landslide, it had nothing to do with him, and he had just experienced a life-and-death crisis. Ma Young-hun arrives at the commando's old base, letting go of all the trash he can't stand anymore. South Korea's intelligence bureau relied on the motorcycle purchase records to find Ma Young-hun's blown-up house. There are only ruins left, and the room burned black. Based on the photos and the remains, it can be guessed that this is a commando who has washed his identity. But now that the person is dead, it is as difficult to find another matchmaker as it is to heaven. Therefore, this event should also be considered as revolving around the usurpation. A fight between the 8th Division and the 35th Division. The minister can only write a report declaring to the outside world that this is a gas explosion. Although the 2 fake commandos are dead, Ma Young-hun is still alive. At this time, he was eating frantically at Dae Chan's small restaurant. Looking at this look, it seemed that he hadn't eaten anything for days. Myung-hun, who had yet to receive the task from her superiors, was a little impatient. He asked Dae Chan if everyone was like that. "Do you know what the task I've been waiting for 3 years is?" "It was to tell me to feed him. Dae Chan told me to wait patiently." The fatherland will not forget its people. Myung-hun, who has just derailed her life into a normal profession, is still afraid. Seeing the police car coming, he instinctively wanted to dodge. Dae-chan has been here for many years of rich experience, even though he blames Myung-hun for being an idiot. She still imparted some practical experience to him. A commando who wants to hide his identity must first relax. As natural as possible, as arbitrary as possible, it is not like commandos. But when he saw Myung-gun's family photo, Dae-chan is also no longer calm. "This is your father." Because a large sum of money in Myung-gun's adoptive parents' house was robbed, the open confrontation between the 8th Division and the 35th Division became more intense. Myung-hun receives a mysterious package that still contains a phone and a document bag. "This time the party gave you a very important task. Do you remember the story of the pharmacy being robbed? My superiors told me that this was Myung-gun's last mission. As long as he successfully retrieves the stolen money and goods, he will be reunited with his sister. Myung-hun believes this deeply. All he does in Korea is to return soon. As long as I can bring a better life to my sister, he is willing to do anything. Here he has no relatives." Just a short video in the phone can bring warmth to Myung-hun. The open confrontation between the two North Korean intelligence factions has reached a climax. The 35th Special Office sent a liaison to South Korea to receive the shipment worth 300 billion. Looking at these glowing, precious items, the contact person also felt impatient. Myung-hun rushed into the delivery point alone. Even though the enemy is small, he can still take the enemy's general level in the middle of 10,000 troops. An excellent commando is inherently like that. Seeing that the liaison officer was dead, the man wearing glasses picked up the box and fled for his life. Finally, he got into a section of water pipe that was cut in half. People dream of being able to escape from their misfortunes. Myung-hun held the shipment worth 300 billion without flinching. He just wanted to quickly complete the task of bringing these things back to his sister. "I'm about to go," so Myung-hun specially buys clothes at the market as a farewell gift for Dae-chan. Dae-chan hopes that after returning from work, it will be enough for Myung-hun to live a normal life. An old man and a young man in a foreign land for so long have a deep affection. Myung-hun here doesn't have too many questions except Hyun. Planned to just look at one and then leave, but unfortunately he was still discovered. Hyun still doesn't know Myung-gun's real name. I don't know why he suddenly had to leave. Knowing that Myung-hun has to go back to see his sister, Hyun hopes to have the opportunity to see him again. Myung-hun also thinks she can go home to see her sister right away. Not only for a minute, he looked for someone who could take him away in the night. Myung-hun wants to go home as quickly as possible by filling in the sugar, and the other party agrees immediately. From here to Haeju Port takes about 5 hours. If it is convenient to get home just in time for breakfast, Myung-hun can't wait to return. But he was still too young after all, not taking any precautions about the danger around him. Myung-hun couldn't believe looking at the other party. The young man really listened to the real poem. The other party told him that no commando had ever been able to return. Any commando who intends to go home will only have this outcome. Feeling the blood flowing fast, Myung-hun didn't dare to be naked. He gritted his teeth in pain, stabbed the opponent to death, and decisively threw it into the water. At this time, Myung-hun couldn't express in her heart despair or disappointment. Due to the civil war in North Korean intelligence, it is increasingly intense. A large amount of information has been spied on for South Korean intelligence. All North Korean commandos who stayed in South Korea did not escape their fate, regardless of men and women, young and old. All of them were wiped out except for one. Dae-chan street vendors are even more important targets, seeing from a distance that Myung-hun wants to come. Mrs. Dae-chan hurriedly stopped this stupid child. Even to protect him, she deliberately lured the commune to shoot. Dae-chan was lying on the ground, still muttering, "I don't want anything else. I just hope that my Eun-hun can go home safely." Little did she know that this group of commandos would soon have no home to go back to. When the director of intelligence realized something was wrong and chased after him, my Eun-hun was hiding in the dark. My Eun-hun didn't want to harm anyone and didn't want to be taken back. As the director's words constantly pierced my Eun-gun's will. "Surrender if you surrender, you can survive. How do you think we found you?" That side had already abandoned him, and my Eun-hun left with an injured stomach, not knowing where else he could go. At this time, the only person he could count on was Hyeon. Since dropping out of school, Hyeon has always worked part-time to earn money, looking for a cheap place to live. If it wasn't for that night, when she went to the rooftop to dry her clothes, my Eun-hun wouldn't have seen the sun the next day. Arrested spies belonging to the 8th Division of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Deserted comrades were shot dead during the arrest operation. Hyeon didn't know that the wild beast was Mrs. Dae, who was selling the line. But she realized that the photo on the news was my Eun-hun. Only now did she understand the true identity of my table mate. Eun-hun was a North Korean commando. Worried that my mood will be affected when she hears these news, she hurriedly turns off the TV. My Eun-gun's wound has been treated by Hyeon, so it is no longer serious. As soon as he woke up, he wanted to pack up and leave. He is suddenly especially afraid of the danger that will bring danger to Hyeon due to my Eun-gun's disappearance. The 35th Division was unable to witness the entire 8th Division's commandos being destroyed. My Eun-gun's superiors in North Korea were brutally beaten by the 35th Division. Finally succumbed to the opponent's steel fist. He took the initiative to offer to go to South Korea. Make sure to destroy my Eun-hun, and by the way, get back that 300 billion shipment. Things get even more interesting, and the next morning Hyeon wakes up to find my Eun-hun still sleeping. The little girl went out alone to buy things, and at the monk's town, she suddenly met the director of the intelligence department. "Do you see these 2 students nearby?" At that moment, Hyeon was in the store. In front of the director of the intelligence bureau, Hyeon lied that after dropping out of school, she never saw my Eun-hun again. She didn't dare to bear except for a minute when she received the business card and immediately carried her things home. My Eun-hun was waiting to watch the news on TV. With the death of Chairman Kim Chun-jin at the age of 69, this big news made the South Korean Intelligence Bureau extremely nervous. Surely, there will be some major events happening recently. My Eun-hun kept thinking that everything could end with this event, but what has to come will still come in the end. The superior calls, saying that he has come to Korea. This time he also specially brought my Eun-gun's sister with him. If my Eun-hun wants to see his sister, hand over the 300 billion shipment to him. Regarding the battle between the commandos, Hyeon could no longer help. But she always hopes that my Eun-hun can understand that she will always silently support him. As soon as it was morning, my Eun-hun immediately drove his motorbike away, leaving only a photo and a letter, worried that my Eun-hun would be in trouble alone. Hyeon hurriedly took out the business card of the director of the intelligence bureau and made a phone call. All cameras on the streets near Xinjiang had to confirm that he was traveling on a motorcycle. My Eun-hun flew towards Incheon alone. South Korean intelligence agency officers also concentrated in the direction of Incheon. After seeing it, he was on the rooftop with a man about 40 years old. My Eun-hun insisted on meeting her sister before handing over the goods. Her superiors pointed to the back. The sister who was locked in the car was obviously not safe. The superiors thought that this time they could rely on a large number of troops to destroy my Eun-hun conveniently. But unexpectedly, South Korean commandos blocked it. The 2 sides opened fire, but my Eun-hun couldn't bother much. He just wanted to destroy his superiors and quickly save his sister. Unexpectedly, the North Korean commando drove away. The car is finally stopped at the exit, but my Eun-hun doesn't dare to move forward anymore. If he really comes, I'm afraid that he won't have a chance to see his sister again in this life. The director of South Korea's intelligence bureau was also very awkward, not knowing whether to choose humanity or the law. At this time, the director of the intelligence bureau understood why my Eun-hun had such a good relationship with the high school student Hyeon, But as long as my Eunghun doesn't have any news, it wasn't going to end, and my boss called my Eunghun again to ask for a deal. The item in your hand is in your hand, and you'll be hunted down forever until the day my sister and I die. The gypsy rule is not to involve the family. The superior used his sister's life to intimidate, but was unsuccessful. He even kidnapped Hai Ain to force my Eunghun to show up. Her own life is in the hands of the other party, and my Eunghun has to carefully consider what she should do. Hearing his brother's voice, his sister's eyes were red, and his voice also began to tremble. Actually, the two brothers didn't say anything of value. My Eunghun just told my sister to wait for me a little longer. Just a little bit. It'll come to pick you up right away. The director of the Intelligence Bureau advised my Eunghun to surrender as soon as possible for himself and his sister. But my Eunghun couldn't surrender at this time. Even if he is captured, he has to wait after saving Hai Ain. He really didn't understand why all of this was. From the beginning, he was only here to complete the task. Finally, there is an ending like this. He was even intimidated by his superiors with the lives of his friends, after all, who did something wrong. Some things are inevitable. My Eunghun follows the appointment to the meeting point with the superior. Before entering the warehouse, he called the director of the Intelligence Bureau on his mobile phone, which seemed to leave a signal. Humans with affection are not a bad thing, but commandos are not. A little more affection will have a little more danger in action. At least in the eyes of his superiors, my Eunghun is such a fool. Confirming that Hai Ain is safe and sound, my Eunghun takes out the diamonds. From the beginning, he just wanted to bring the goods back, and he couldn't think of anything else. As for the complexity of the struggle, he didn't think about it even more. My Eunghun rushed into the enemy battlefield alone. Even if he ambushed the kite, he still walked as if on flat ground. One person with a single gun fights old comrades. The commando is still a commando all the time. My Eunghun dared to come alone, so why didn't she plan to keep the room? A violent explosion temporarily engulfed everyone. My Eunghun held on tightly to the time to help Hai Ain go out. But he was locked up by the person who had just woken up, and his body could not move. Hearing the police siren outside, Hai Ain immediately ran outside to ask for help, and her superiors repeatedly hit Eunghun. He wanted to kill this young man under the muzzle of his gun. Don't move everything, don't move, now it's over. Lee my Eunghun, if you want to live, kill that bastard. My Eunghun was extremely awkward. On the one hand was all that he had been steadfastly fighting for. On one side is an old enemy who wants him to survive. My Eunghun is too badly injured. When he was taken out by the director of the Intelligence Bureau, his face was no longer bloodied, and he tried to smile at Hai Ain. The world has lost its sound, but he still can't die because his sister is still waiting for him to return. Finally, my Eunghun slowly closed her eyes, and she could no longer hear Hai Ain's crying in her ears. After a long time until the snow fell, Hai Ain was under the guidance of the director of the Intelligence Bureau. Officially meet my Eunghun sister for the first time. Actually, for my Eunghun, Hai Ain doesn't simply have the same name as her sister. For some reason, at first sight when he met Hai Ain, he felt it was the only moment he could let go of everything to be himself. So, he was really a high school student. Hai Ain is a friend who likes each other, but is a little stupid. The Korean director is indeed a master at making romantic films. This movie is clearly in the same genre as Secretly Ridley. They all tell the story of a group of commandos in a foreign land. Ambiguous love, half real and half illusory real. Plus the strong and sincere acting of the male and female leads. It has completely compensated for the shortcomings in the plot. Moreover, in the film, not only the male and female leads have strong acting, and the actor who plays Kim Yoo-jung's sister also has excellent acting. Tears can flow instantly, and the feeling that can explode at any moment but tries to suppress it. Okay, the movie is coming to an end. Please spend 3 seconds to subscribe to the channel to support us. Thank you for watching our channel. See you in the next movie.